Hello, welcome to the Sovereign Magazine show, a transformational experience where conscious conversations meet embodied wisdom. Each episode invites visionary healers, thought leaders, and change makers to share their journeys of awakening, offering listeners practical tools and soul stirring insights to reclaim their inner authority. We are welcoming back Ebony Allard today and her show, The Kismet Codes Embodying Your Design. And if you missed a lot of the foundational elements of this show, go back and listen to episodes 1 through 4. Today, we're going to be talking about embodying your centers and understanding what you are a beacon of and an amplifier of. So, without further ado, why don't you introduce yourself, Ebony?
Thank you, Nicole. What do I say today? I am Ebony Allard, sometimes called Ebony Alchemy because I help you transmute your shit into gold. And I'm an energy and embodiment specialist. And whilst I'm known for human design, it's not kind of traditional human design. It is blended with gene keys or the hexagram and embodiment practices, somatic practices, astrology, all of the things, a little bit of numerology, because it's all the same language. And essentially, that language is the language of your incarnation intentions. And it is my work in the world to help you remember your soul contracts. Remember who you really are before the deconditioning or before all the conditioning of the world made you feel like you had to be someone else. And I'm really passionate about this work because I want everyone to be full of themselves. Because if we were all full of ourselves, there would be enough for everyone and we would all be able to live a really abundant life.
Yes, for sure. And the last time we talked about your activation sequence or your incarnation cross, depending on which modality you're using, and understanding your life's theme. But today we're going to be going into embodying your centers. And I'd love to hear more about what that means. And last time we tapped a little bit into my chart, but I know we're going to be using it today as well for a visual for people.
Yes. So I'm like, I know you've got notes in front of you, but the way that you just said that makes me feel like you're remembering stuff. And there was a clip that you shared of one of the previous episodes of me talking about when you learn like this, it actually goes in rather than it just being another like rote piece of information. So this makes me super, super happy. We are talking about centers. Do you, Nicole, know the chakras?
Yes. I don't
Great.
know them well, but I know what they are and where they are, and they're associated with colors, and we can balance them. And within human design, I know some are open and closed, and they closely resemble chakras as well.
Yes, cool. So, in the traditional Brahman chakra system, there were 7 chakras. And so all of those kind of symbols of the rainbow colors going up to the spine or through a human being that everyone's kind of familiar with, they're the 7 chakras. And in 1781, don't quote me on the date, when projectors became type, um, we had a evolution of our species and the way that we energy moves through our bodies and the way that we operate as human beings, and that type was born, and each type is based on which centers are defined, and each center, whether it's defined or undefined, is based on whether or not the gates are defined or undefined. And those gates come from the hexagram, but the gates themselves come from the center, from chakras, right? Sorry, the centers come from chakras. So there were 7 and they became 9. So in the traditional system, we have the root chakra and you have the root center. And then we have the solar plexus. And then we have the um next one up. God, having one of those days. And it is that one, the solar plexus, actually, let's start there. That in the chakra system is just one center, but in human design, it was split into 2. And so that's where we get the emotional solar plexus and the spleen from.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense so far?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Great. So then we have the sacral, and then we go up and we have the heart. Now, in the chakra system, we have the heart, and in human design, the heart center is split out into two. So we have what is either called the heart, sometimes called the will center, sometimes called the ego center, but that would have been part of the heart. And then we have the G center, or the identity center, or the magnetic monopole. Those are all the same thing, and that is the other part of the heart. Still with me?
Mm-hmm. Still with you.
Okay, I'm going to show you in a second. And
Mm-hmm.
then we come up into the throat, and then we have the ajna and the head. So, can you visualize that in your mind's eye, or would a
Yep.
visual be better?
I can visualize it, but let's show people who might not be familiar with it.
I'm going to
I've
show
looked at
them.
it enough.
I'm going to show them, and this did not work. Let's see if I can try again. They keep moving buttons around, and then I get confused. So, I'm going to share this one. So, this is your chart,
Mm-hmm.
and what we just talked about is the root center,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have the sacral, and then I talked about the solar plexus, and that's the emotional solar plexus, or the solar plexus, which split and then became the spleen. So that makes sense because it's on either side. We can go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Then these two would have made up the heart. So we've got the heart, the ego, or the will. And
Mm-hmm.
then this one is the G center, the identity center, or your magnetic monopole. Next one up is the throat. This one is the ajna, and that one is the head.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the same way as our chakras have functions, if you like, and in the system that I work with, embraining, multiple brain integration technique, where we work with our head brain, our heart brain, and our gut brain, and then at the deeper level, our pelvic intelligence and our autonomic nervous system, what again, these are one of these places where all of this information overlaps. It's not more and more and more information, it's all speaking to the same point, which is we're energetic beings made up of multiple intelligences that
Mm-hmm.
all have core functions. And unlike how we've often been taught, our head is not the thing for making decisions. It's not it is the fastest processor, and it does make meaning, perceive, and understand. That's what our head is for. But
Mm-hmm.
what gets really interesting when we look at the centers is the ajna is all about concepts. And you are somebody who sees concepts in a particular way. You have your own concepts. You conceptualize, even though it might have been unconscious, because it's in this gold color rather than the blue, even though that might have been unconscious to you for quite a long time, you are somebody who, if a concept doesn't fit, it doesn't really bother you, right? Because you have your own concepts. Whereas those of us who have an undefined ajna, like if we hear a new concept, we're so busy often trying to make it fit that we don't listen to the rest, or we can't get on board with it until we're like, but how does that work? I don't get it. And similarly, so you can only have a defined head if you've got a defined ajna. So 71% of the population have undefined head. And
Mm-hmm.
that means that they are having ideas drop into their mind all the time, or whenever they do get an idea, they think they might never get another one again, and they think every single idea is for them. And so there can be a lot of pressure to act on inspiration or act on ideas rather than recognizing that the head is a pressure center and that not all ideas are for us.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas again, you are somebody who is pretty good at staying focused on what ideas are for you and what ideas are not for you. And this is because you're a beacon of, or you have a signature signal, or a particular way of doing concepts and ideas, or of doing thinking. Does that
Mm-hmm.
make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely identifies with who I am.
So, this is a really great way to kind of explain what I was talking about in terms of understanding what you're a beacon of and an amplifier of. So, when we have a center defined, We are a beacon of that energy. It
Mm.
means that we have a responsibility to be in the highest expression of that particular center, and that we have our particular way, our particular energy, frequency, signal, pulse of that. So let's start down here. So, one of the things that people don't always know, and I'll add it in, energy in our body moves in through the root and wants to find its way to the throat to be expressed.
Mm.
So, the root is a pressure center. The head is also a pressure center. So ideas and information comes in from the head. And again, it comes down to be expressed through the throat where it can be manifest in the world. So we are all moving through the world, having information come at us from up here and down there. And when we have our pressure centers open, we feel a great sense of pressure. You are someone who moves to the beat of your own drum and moves at your own rhythm and pace because that's natural for you, because it's not something that you feel necessarily pressured by.
Oh, yeah, I definitely don't feel pressure. And that actually makes a lot of sense because I have had friends in the past not they call me confident, but I'm like, I don't really feel that that word defines me. I just am not bothered by external things.
And to some degree, we'll get to your undefined centers later, that, there are areas of what I call ease or wobble, but we'll get to that in a second, right? So, when a center is defined, you're a beacon of it. You have a set way that you are, and you are sending that out into the world. And so for you, this one around timing, pace, this is undefined. This is you are somebody who can get up and do cardio or move in the morning. It's good for you to get your route going.
Yep.
I have an undefined route. It is not a good idea, and I can burn my adrenals out if I get up and move my body straight away. There has to be, because I can go straight into, I wake up, not so much because I've deconditioned it now, but for years and years, every day I would wake up on the back foot. I'm behind, I'm behind, I'm behind, because I would feel a sense of pressure and like I
Mm.
can only relax when everything's done, but
Mm.
nothing is, it's never done, right? And so for people who have an undefined route, it's really important to set your own pace in the mornings
Mm.
and to work with the rhythms of the seasons and to be around people who don't make you feel like you have to hurry up or give you that kind of sense of pressure.
Mm. Have you ever found that people who have a defined route are morning people and people who have an undefined route are nighttime people?
Not necessarily, and that it's much more, in my experience, to do with whether you have a day chart or a night chart, and that's something we can look at in astrology at another time.
Oh, that
Mm.
makes sense because my daughter was born in the middle of the night and she's a night owl, and both my husband and I are morning people. Interesting.
You were born in the morning, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So then we come up. So the two that are often the best for us to look at are these two because they're pressure centers. But then we have each of the centers has a different core function, and they also some are motor centers, some are awareness centers, right? They do different things, and so this is one of the reasons why it can be really interesting to look at what have you got the most energy of, and is it conscious or unconscious? And is that awareness energy? Is it motor energy? Is it pressure energy? It's very, very interesting for us to have a look at what you are a beacon of. And so for you, like one of the things that we can notice is actually the center that you've got the most defined gates in that's conscious to you is your spleen.
Mm-hmm.
And then unconscious to you is probably your sacral, right? And so you're somebody who is a beacon of instinct, intuition, spirituality, clairvoyance, listening, intuition, all of those things. And that's something that you're conscious of. It's an
Mm-hmm.
awareness center, and it's something that you're a beacon of in the world. Making sense so far?
Oh yeah, that's totally spot on. I'm just making my little diagram here.
Do you have any questions about it so far?
Don't think so. I think that you're
Okay.
doing a great job.
So when we are a beacon of something, we want to make sure that we know that we have a sense of awareness of it, that we can be confident in it, that we can know this is something I can rely on. And in my program, Embody Your Design, this is one of the things that we really work on. And I work on, what are you a beacon of first? What can you rely on first? Where are you solid? And just like I just did then with you, we looked at the two conscious ones, the ones in blue, first, because they're most obvious. They're most because the personality or this conscious side is your mind. They are things you have thought about and had, rolling around inside of you in your awareness your whole life. And you
Mhm.
may be less aware of your creation energy. You may be less aware of your two emotional waves. But this is really important for you because you're an emotionally defined and an emotional authority. So if I was working with you, one of the things we'd really look at is, okay, your authority is emotional. Do you know what that means? And you actually have two waves. And this means there's going to be two emotional waves or two emotional cycles that you get to work with and explore and know not to make decisions from a high or a low, but from what I call neutral confidence, that place where over time it still feels good. And again, because this is unconscious to you, the piece that is the most conscious to you
Mhm.
is the six, which is about peace. Will this
Mhm.
bring me peace? Yes, it brings me a sense of peace. So I will say yes to it. I know that about you, and I know that that's something that you're aware of. And similarly with the 40 is about commitment, divine will, resolve, but it's also in its shadow, it's exhaustion. And so it's like, okay, again, like, is doing this, is committing to this going to be exhausting for me?
Yep,
Or is it something that I can like be in resolve about and hand over to divine will?
that
And
is.
then what we would do next, if we and we'll talk about this a little bit in the next episode, maybe, and definitely a little bit further down the line, is it's important not just to go, okay, well, you've got gate 40 and gate 6 and they are form part of your emotional authority, because that would be the same for everybody. But what what planets are they? So for example, your 40 is your conscious Jupiter. So this is a point of expansion for you. It's a point of luck for you. And one of the things that I actually have seen you embody really well is, if I'm feeling exhausted, I'm going to stop. I'm going to give it over to God. I'm going to let myself be in resolve that this is something I know I still want, that I know still feels good, but I'm not doing it from a place of exhaustion.
Mhm. Yep. That is very, very true. I am not afraid to pause because I don't look at pausing as failure. I look at it as a way to receive more downloads about like which way I'm supposed to go, and I definitely don't look at shifting gears as failure or anything like that. So I'm able to take that information in.
Now you're 40, just as a it is an absolute side quest, but we'll come back. Your 40 isn't just your Jupiter. It's also your unconscious North Node. And so this is something you're moving towards more, is this sense of divine will or resolve kind of in your body, unconsciously even. And it's also your unconscious Lilith, and that's not a planet, it's an asteroid, a very small one. So, not a very small one, but it's not something that we talk about often. But if we come back and we look at the six, for example, this is your conscious Saturn.
Okay.
And you remember in an episode I was saying, oh, we're more similar than I thought.
Hmm.
Six is also my Saturn.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and six. So we are both here to master peace rather than conflict, rather than restlessness, right? Is to kind of find peace in, and let's remember it's emotional gate, right? So this isn't about um overriding emotions or bypassing emotions or not being emotional. It's like it's about finding peace and because this forms the subtle wave,
Mhm.
and this particular channel which I also have. So it's called the subtle wave, but it's also the channel of mating. Is very much about attraction, about sexuality, and about conceiving or birthing children, but also ideas or books or communities, or but this is what we do with this energy. And part of that is the 59 is like the transparency, the honesty, the like I see you part. And then the 6 is the conflict that can happen there. And I also have gate 59, and I also have it in my unconscious Jupiter. And mine is line 1, and yours is line 4. And 59 is the gate of intimacy. And so this means the culture that we create is one of intimacy. And this is why we're so beautifully connected in the way that we are. It's why we've always had the same vision for what it means to be honest and authentic, right? This is the culture that we
Mhm.
create. It's like there's no dishonesty available in our
Mhm.
spaces. But
Mhm.
you have it in line 4, which is community and the network. And I have it in line 1, which is the individual and research or stabilization. And so I help individuals become so honest with themselves and find intimacy with themselves. And you help people to create a culture of being honest and authentic with each other.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Totally makes sense.
It does. It's really, really beautiful. And what you can see is that two people being a beacon doesn't mean competition. It can, and in traditional human design, it's like, oh, we're going to compete with one another. But I really believe that when you know yourself and when you're being a beacon of your signal really beautifully, then what that does is the electromagnetic field will magnetize other like frequencies to it. And then it's not a competition, it's just there's more and more and more.
Yeah, the amplification versus the competition.
Yes. Now, the only reason I didn't say that word, amplification, is because we're then going to go on to talk about undefined or open centers. Now,
Okay.
just as a technical thing, the difference, it is undefined if it's not colored in, but there is a gate, at least one defined. So your G center is undefined because it has gate 1. My G center has no gates defined, so it's open.
Mm.
Your G center, your throat is undefined because it has 2 gates defined, but it's not defined. It's an undefined center. Sounds so silly, but just that classic
I'm not
one.
following you.
So there's 2 different words that get bandied about. One is open
Okay,
and one is undefined.
got it.
It's open if it has no gates.
No gates.
It's
And how do you know if it
undefined.
has no gates?
Let me see if, so I'm going to have to stop sharing quickly in order because I only shared one screen. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the other screen up, and then I can show you mine and we can see actually how similar they are in a kind of a way.
Okay.
um, and I can show you the difference. So this is, oh, I'm going to do that because then I can show you. So can you see mine now?
Yes.
So this, see here, this is my G center, but there are no gates defined in it.
Oh, okay. So when it's defined, it has the little circle.
Hmm.
Okay.
And what that means is that somewhere in one of this chart, or like one of
Mhm.
this line of numbers, or in this line of numbers, is that gate written. So you see here, I've got 6, and my 6 is 6.1.
Mhm.
And if we flick back to yours, you have 6, but yours is 6.5.
Okay, I'm following now. And then you said the
Great.
other one is undefined, which means.
It means it's not colored in.
Mhm.
So, but it is, there are gates, there is some definition. Now, let's talk about what that means. So if you remember, if you have it defined, you have a signature way, you have a way of being that gate. You actually, the way that they describe it is consistent and access to the energy of that frequency because it's
Mhm.
in your cells.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, as we move through the year, I say, now we're in gate this, now we're in gate that, now we're in gate that. And then what that we're talking about is the sun is now moving through that particular gate. So each astrological sign is made up of roughly 6 gates. And so we have 6 days and 6 gates inside each astrological sign. So right now, as we're recording, we've just moved into Aries season. And so there'll be degrees of Aries, if you like. And so there are 6 gates of Aries. And each gate will do like 25.1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6. And people never share this information. And I know we're getting a little bit all over the place, but I will wrap up soon.
No
This
worries.
is the traditional body graph,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes from the mandala. So this is what it's actually your body, this is what your human design chart actually looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the wheel of the year. Just like in astrology, we have again, a round chart with all the different pieces of pie as it goes around. These little symbols are the hexagrams,
Mm-hmm.
and this is their number. And so, for example, when you have your sun in gate 61, the
Mm-hmm.
thing that is on the other side, its
Mm-hmm.
equal and opposing force, is gate 62, and that is your earth. And then it comes into the body graph and lights up particular, so that it falls into the gates, which are in the body graph, and that's how it gets defined.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, what that means is, as we move through the year, you don't, for example, have gate 7 defined, but when we're in that part of the year, when the sun is in gate 7, you will experience what it's like to have gate 7 energy.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say when you're born with it, you have consistent access to that energy, and when it's undefined or open, you have inconsistent access. It means that during certain points of the year, when we're in that, or a particular planet's in it, or you're around a friend who has that gate, then you will have a sense of or an experience of that particular frequency.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when we have open or undefined centers, they are what we call ease points. It means that the energy or energy generally can just flow through that center. But as human beings, we like to hold on, and we have this negativity bias, and we think we need everything. And so we hold on to things. Or let's put it another way. Have you heard nature abhors a vacuum, right? Like wherever we create empty space, you've seen it in your own house. As soon as you clean the table, everyone puts their stuff on it, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
natural law. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so what happens when we have an open or undefined center is that all the energy goes into it with the idea that it could then flow out again and be an ease point, but often it gets stuck, and that's what we call conditioning.
So our conditioning tends to happen in our open or undefined centers.
Traditionally, that is true. We also all get conditioned in all the other places because of society, because we're spending more and more time together, more and more information, more like all of the things. But if we never, in the in the olden days when we saw 150 people total in our lifetime, then we probably wouldn't have been as conditioned in our defined centers. But so mostly where we hold conditioning, there is conditioning in all of it. We're not supposed to not have conditioning. We're relational beings. And so we learn through contrast, we learn through contracting and releasing. I just got sick and I learned how much I love being healthy. That's just how we're designed as human beings. So there's nothing wrong with conditioning. But what we want to do when we have an open or an undefined center is recognize that that is where we become an amplifier of those around us. So if there's an open space, we become like an echo. And so if there's someone near us or that has a very strong signature, we will amplify that with our undefined or open centers. Or we can, let me explain. I said my G center is open.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That means that I don't belong. It's the center of identity and belonging. and it can feel as though I don't belong anywhere. But it also means I'm a chameleon and I belong everywhere. Because
Mm-hmm.
what the undefined or open center is doing is it's sampling. Can you remember that reflectors have no defined centers? So what they're doing all the time is sampling.
Mm-hmm.
So we become wisest in our undefined or open centers after we've learned to sample the information and then let it go. Sample and let it go. That is how it's designed. So where we are defined, we are a signal, we're a beacon. We want to be the best version of that so that the people around us are amplifying that. Where we are open or undefined, we want to learn to release that which we hold on to that isn't ours so that we can return to being an ease point in that area.
This makes so much sense. And it's not the first time I've heard all of this, but it's starting to finally solidify.
And I think I explain it differently than most people.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, this was fascinating. And I think this is probably the part that most people, or at least in my experience, learned first about human design is the colors and the, open or undefined or defined, not defined, closed, how all of that. And so this makes it more tangible, palatable, if you will. And then I wanted to share with everyone if you're enjoying these deep dives, we're going to be going into embodying your values, shadows, lights, and understanding on the next episode. So definitely like, share, subscribe, comment below. All of Ebony's details are in the show notes. She's also in our community, community.sovereign-magazine.com. She's also on Substack, has an amazing cosmic flicks over there. And so you can find her anywhere. She's everywhere. So definitely do that. And then we also put in the show notes access to your free chart that look like mine and hers. And she also has a beautiful guidebook as well. So you can find all of that in our show notes. Okay, we'll see you on the next one.